Michelle Torrio, and this is the Be Mindful podcast. Hello, and welcome back to the Be Mindful podcast. If you are new here, this podcast focuses on topics like God, mindset, manifestation, habits, growth, and so much more. You'll learn to be mindful of what you think and feel often, because who you are from within will attract from the out. If you're into any of that, this podcast is for you. Today, we are talking about how you're going to level up and start showing up as you are truly meant to be. Ask yourself, what does the best version of yourself look like? How do they show up? If you are not sure, I'm going to give you the blueprint so you can stop settling and recognize your full potential. As we know, February is the month of love, with Valentine's Day being around the corner. So, of course, I had to create an episode that focuses on self-love. You owe it to yourself to go after your desires. God placed it there for a reason. And I've learned that these desires we have aren't just silly little dreams. It's guidance. It's a feeling that is so intuitive and feels so right to go after it. If you can't stop thinking about it and it's something that you want so bad, that is that intuition telling you to go after it. And yes, it's not going to be a perfect path. You're going to have challenges that come up, but that is with anything. If you're still figuring out your life, that's great. So am I. I am not someone who wants a simple life, honestly. I have such big dreams that seem so unrealistic to so many people because a lot of us haven't experienced it in our own lives yet and think that it's so far out of reach. And honestly, I used to think that too. Anytime I would see something that I desired and it felt so unrealistic for me to reach, that was a moment I started doubting myself. And those are moments that I didn't realize I was doing often, but not anymore. We're not doing that anymore. Anything that we have seen that feels like isn't possible for us, if you desire it, that means it is possible for you. And I'm going to lean on that and trust that it's going to come to me somehow by putting in the work, obviously, but just trusting the process regardless. And now it's your turn to do the same. That is the goal for today's episode. You're going to leave here feeling energized and excited for what you're going to reach because, hello, there are many endless possibilities, and it's time you believe in that. Okay, now let's get into it. I am so pumped to share this because I myself am working on this too, because I want to take my life to the next level as well. So we're doing this together. So the big question that you want to be asking yourself is, how do we truly become who we are praying for? That is a very simple answer, but not a simple task. That is identity shifting. As always, we must work from within first, and neuroscience and faith agrees that intention alone, it's not enough. For example, yes, believing in yourself is key. However, if your beliefs do not match your actions, then there is an underlying limiting belief within your subconscious that you don't believe that you are capable. And this is where habits come in. If you missed my last episode on reaching your goals intentionally, I recommend that you listen to that one, since this will tie everything in, especially since I did talk about habit tracking in that last episode. Habits form who you are, and it's a big part of identity shifting. So what is identity shifting? It's when you start shedding the old version of you to become this new and improved you. If you've ever learned of quantum leaping, this is how you're going to do it. If you haven't, this is when you basically jump timelines and your life does a full 360. I did this. 2024 felt like that year. So one of my really big goals that I kept working on and kept saying it was going to happen every single year was getting a new home. I wanted a brand new home. I was actually okay with any home because living in California, getting a brand new home seems unattainable. However, something that me and my husband constantly said over and over is that God is going to only give us the best, and we are prepared for that. It looked so impossible for it to happen, but we really were open to the possibility. And little did I know I would get exactly what I wanted. I trusted that I shouldn't settle and that I should be open to the idea that anything can happen. On top of that, we had such a great interest rate, and my husband kept saying that I don't know how, but we're going to get a great interest rate. And he would say this over and over and over, and we got exactly that. Truly, everyone around us kept talking about how expensive it is in California, how it's impossible to find a house, and that it's just too expensive. That is true. Yes, it is very expensive. It's California. But again, these are limiting beliefs coming from other people, and we cannot allow others' opinions to impact our goals. So just because people think differently than you does not mean your dream is not possible. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that just because it doesn't look like anything is going to change doesn't mean it can't. It can at any moment. So it is your responsibility to wake up every single day and be excited and trust that a miracle can happen, that any opportunities can happen, and that your life can completely change. Now, before I give you the steps, I do want to recommend, if you're able to get out a piece of paper to do this exercise. That way you can look at this daily to remind yourself of who you are becoming and who you are meant to be. Remember, manifestation only works based on who you are being, so this is it. When you have your paper out, or maybe replay this when you can, I want you to draw a triangle. On the outside of the triangle, on the left side, I want you to write habits. On the right side of the triangle, I want you to write beliefs. And underneath the triangle, I want you to write emotions. So you should have 3: habits, beliefs, and emotions. On the left side, like I said, you wrote habits. What are the habits that you need in order for you to become the person you want to be? Now, this is where you might want to pause the episode because you're going to want to write everything down. So let's say you want to be someone who eats healthier and exercises more. What does that look like? Create a very clear vision of who you want to be. So write all of that down on the left side. I do want to point out as well that we are doing this in order, and you'll understand in a moment why. So when you're done writing your habits down, on the right side, you're going to write down your beliefs. Like I said, who you are being is what's going to manifest. So now I want you to envision your future self that achieved everything that you want, that leveled up, the best version of you. What are their beliefs? What do they believe about themselves? How did they get there? And when your beliefs align with your habits, that is when your identity is going to change, because you are letting go of the old beliefs and creating new, powerful, and positive beliefs that your future self already has. So now you have your habits, now you have your beliefs, and the last thing is emotions. So what are the emotions you need to be in? A calm nervous system is how you manifest easily. You cannot think clearly when you are stressed. That is something I'm really working on this year. I have an Aura ring and it told me that my stress is moderately high. So that is a teller for me that, okay, I gotta work on something. Okay, I need to work on my stress levels. And when you are clear-minded and you are calm, your nervous system is regulated. That way, it is easier for you to be in your creative flow and also connect with your intuition. Your thoughts are what create your emotion. And when you think of it often, it does become a belief. So if you notice that your emotions are negative, you are stressing a lot, look at this triangle that you created. Look at the emotions that you wrote down. What are the feelings that you want to be in? What does the future you who has leveled up feel like? What emotions are they in majority of the time? And this is why I recommend looking at this paper every single day, because you're training your mind to remember, okay, I need to be in these emotions today. Our emotions are clear signals. That's something I want you to remember. So if you're going throughout your day and you find yourself pretty stressed, I want you to remind yourself of the triangle you created and remind yourself of the emotions that you wrote down. asking yourself, okay, how can I shift out of this negative emotion into one of the emotions that I wrote down? For example, joy. How can you step into those emotions? And how can you self regulate your nervous system? How you feel often not only helps you manifest what you desire, but it also helps you improve your long term health. So now you have your habits, your beliefs, and the emotions that you need in order to level up and become this version of yourself. And with having this information, remember that small daily actions reinforce belief. It helps you build confidence and trust in yourself that you are capable. This is all about embodiment, acting as if you already are this person. That is what this blueprint is. You do not need to force anything. Something to also keep in mind is that you don't need to be perfect or go all in with all of these new habits. There's actually this Japanese term called kaizen, and it's a philosophy for changing for the better by making small, consistent daily adjustments without making radical changes. So, this is just a great reminder that adding small habits daily into your life and not creating drastic changes is what's going to get you to create long term changes. I've probably mentioned this many times, but I'm going to say it again because it's so true. Your brain expects predictability. So, to be able to rewire your mind first and teach it that it's becoming your new normal, we would have to do this through habits. For example, let's say that you wanted to start a new habit of reading every day. Don't start by trying to read every day for 30 minutes. Like, take it really slow. You can even challenge yourself to read for 2 minutes a day. This makes it easier for you and your brain to understand the new normal that you're trying to create. I truly do believe that the desires we have, this is something that God placed in our hearts for a reason. And that's why a lot of us have different passions and different interests. And God meets you at obedience, not perfection. He placed something in your heart because He believes that you're able to provide that to the world. I don't know what way, but He would place it in your heart purposely because He knows you're going to make a difference some way or somehow. Going after your dreams is self love. And as you're working on yourself and improving and becoming this next level of yourself, pray for discipline, pray for confidence, pray for consistency. Ask God to guide you where you're meant to be. Becoming the person you're praying for isn't about waiting for a breakthrough. It's about becoming predictable in the small, faithful choices that you make every day. It's proving to yourself that you are going to follow your word. Your brain is designed to respond to consistency, and so is your spirit. When your actions start aligning with what you're praying for, you're not rushing the process. You are simply preparing for it. So maybe the question isn't why hasn't it happened yet, but more so, am I practicing the habits of the person I'm asking God to help me become? You don't need to be ready. You just need to be willing. And that is all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you feel empowered and excited for what's to come. You are so capable. Together, we are going to continue trusting in ourselves, trusting in God, believing in the endless possibilities, and move towards the best version of ourselves. And as always, don't forget to be mindful because who you are from within will attract from the out. See you in the next episode. Bye.